Turn it on. Turn it.
All right, we live streaming. Yeah, boy. Okay, where we going? Over here. We live streaming, bro. We live streaming.
It's on now.
Yeah, I figured it come on. Turn it off.
Alright, we live streaming, kids. We live streaming.
Oh, I hear it. That's nice. Y'all don't know how much y'all pay for that?
That was what, 100 and something?
Okay, yeah. I should go run out and give me one. Oh, that's nice.
Oh my gosh, we've had such a fun show. I mean, look at this, Candace Gibson. Look who we have talking to you. This is Abigail.
It's on now. Sometimes if you don't step far back,
during the commercial break.
yeah, now hit that button. See that button on? That blue light.
We were all
no, right here.
All three of us going to be watching you for your show, so you take off now.
Oh, it's freezing there.
All right, you guys, I'm trying to get a nappy.
Yeah, we went custom about the TV.
I want to get something for my TV in the family room.
Yeah.
So when we play the movie, so even cable, oh, the Dune, I like that. Because remember we used to have it hanging up there, but what happened? The system went out. And we could not do anything.
And this one
I
not
just
better.
took
We
mine to
ain't
the
having
dump.
a lot of speakers all over.
I took mine to the dump, all my surround sound stuff.
Really, you know, it's not just too many speakers, you know.
And it was loud when it used to play real well. Dune, you get outside, hitting the walls, around it. I said whatever. I'm gonna go out. That film went out.
I'm going to go check one out for myself.
Yeah. So yeah, we got to stick with
Yeah, boys and girls. Live streaming.
You got it
As it
upstairs?
shows that former Vice President Joe Biden, again, not even officially in the
Well, what
race,
Boo sound like? What you got in speakers in the room?
I got a big bass in my.
It sounds just
were
like
asked who
surround
their
sound
first
in the
choice for
room.
president is, and
So, yeah,
Biden came out
that was my
first
TV
with
that was
We
in
in
the
board,
room.
we in board.
trails close behind were
That TV was in my
25%,
room.
giving them huge
We
leads
brought it
over
in here because we
contenders like
replaced that
Kamala
other TV
Harris
because
and
they had to
Beto
tow
O'Rourke
up.
and
And
Cory
then we
Booker.
bought us,
So, of course,
what, a
Iowa is a
16?
crucial state for
What we got in the
2020
room?
hopefuls, and candidates have been investing a
50
whole lot of
We all
time.
got like a 54-inch.
As they're top of the battleground state, really hoping to build
Live
support for
streaming.
their
5
candidates.
inch. So,
Not so much, apparently.
yeah, we
Take a
changed
look at
everything.
how the new poll results compare to the
So we
amount
just
of time
paid
that
it off.
each
I got
contender
this
has
TV
spent in the state.
and
Bernie Sanders is campaigning
something else I got.
today.
Oh, I got the
friendly
I got
confines
this
of New
TV
Hampshire.
at
A
Walmart.
must-win state for the senator
got,
from Vermont, and NBC's Ali Vitale is there for
What I
what's ahead
got
for the
a
senator,
TV
what
for
he's
your
saying today.
our room, and I got Boo Boo's
40,
Xbox One.
45
And
inch.
then we put that on the
back, and he's ready
PayPal.
to kind
Paying
of
it off
revamp the
now.
campaign
So,
that he won here in
I put this on
2016. We had a
PayPal.
lot of the familiar
Recently,
themes from
we
him,
went back
Medicare
up a
for
little
all, railing
And
against
that's
youth
my
inequality, and
only
railing
thing
against
I'm
the
paying
president.
now.
Really?
It's interesting when you listen to him.
Because it
you
helps
really
to
hear
have
how
it.
he's been able to
Yeah, it
pull
does.
this
So
field to
we're
the
paying
left.
that down.
There's
See
a
you guys
double-edged
later.
sword in
Okay,
that.
baby.
Either
I'm
you
still
hear him
tired
as the
from
leader
yesterday.
on these issues and accept him as the
I'm so
messenger, or
Then
they
it
can
start
go with
raining
someone else
right
because there's a
after.
lot of other options
Right
this
after.
time
I'm
around.
gonna,
In this
bring
one,
me a
about
trailer.
1,000 people packed
I'm gonna
in
be
to hear
throwing
his
a lot of
message.
stuff out
And
of that
clearly he's
basement.
ready
Yeah,
to
Right
go
to
here.
the
He
dump.
is
Working on
such
the
a
ad.
million
See,
people
we was gonna
so
be on
here for
the
his
trailer we
campaign.
wanted
Yeah.
to
I
get.
want to talk a little
It
bit.
was
I
too
know we're in
big.
New Hampshire,
We
but
got
I
you.
Oh, we live streaming, boys and girls on YouTube.
that stood out to me here. I know this week we've been
Yeah,
talking about
I
the impact of Joe Biden.
I don't know why I got this. Let me get rid of this.
I'll be here to test drive it.
At least in Mike Bloomberg's case,
Get my Bible.
when Biden
But
gets
we'll
in
see
the
if
race.
the
But
stuff
Bernie
finished
Sanders
rinsing and
keeps
the other stuff.
No, it was still moving. I heard it.
30% of Biden's voters in Iowa, if Biden were
Yeah.
that's according to the
Ow, my thumb hurts.
So a lot of interesting things.
You're hurting, mate.
Yeah, there are a number of interesting nuggets to get out of the poll.
Alright. Yeah, we gotta get rid of this.
Talk about New Hampshire, because it's a tougher scene around this time for Bernie Sanders, because Elizabeth Warren, of course, is from Massachusetts, and she's hoping to win that first primary state. Why is this considered so crucial for Bernie?
It's crucial for Bernie because this is the place, as he reminded voters here, that kicked off his 2016 campaign
allowed them to continue on against Hillary Clinton. And among some of the voters that I've talked to here today, they are someone who supported Bernie Sanders in 2015 and 2016, got to know him because he's a neighboring senator here, and they like the message that he's putting out. And so New Hampshire is crucial for him, especially when you talk about moving on to a place like South Carolina, where there's a very diverse voting population there. And he's going to have a lot more competition for those voters because other people are spending a lot more time in South Carolina. I'm thinking of Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and others who want to make that a place that puts them on the map. And so Bernie Sanders is seeing good news right now out of Iowa and New Hampshire, where another poll does have him leading. But in those polls, I think it's also important to note that Bernie Sanders is someone who just ran not but 3 years ago. And so his name ID is already really high. Same with Joe Biden, was a former vice president. People know who he is. And I think that at this early point in the race, that really does matter.
It really is helping indeed. And what's also going to help is we're going to cut you loose so that they don't rope you into trying to help them to break down there in Concord, New Hampshire. Allie, thank you. All right, so let me turn to my panel right now. Corinne Jean-Pierre, senior advisor at MoveOn.org and MSNBC contributor.
I'm talking about the walk.
Former spokesperson for the
Oh.
Committee and
I was talking about water with an iceberg in.
I don't want to slip this line. Go and scrape it up.
Josh, let's start with you. There were so many interesting things as I mentioned.
Yeah, movies.
Put that down.
What was it
I didn't tell you to stop playing nothing. Put it down. I'm trying to come over there. You go. Plug it back up. Put it down.
Atop the pack in this
Shoot.
race.
Get that doggone bell and pop your old hard-headed self.
Fully in the race.
You know you on the punishment for a month. No game.
Caucuses in the primaries. You're really
Get
talking
them grades
about
up. Ain't nobody seen no
who
grades
recognize
change.
who
You ain't
has
seen them
the
change.
largest name ID. And so
Sitting
from
up
that
here
standpoint, the fact
thinking you ain't
that you
nobody
have
telling you
people
what
like Joe
you
Biden
need
served
to
for
do.
8
You
years
better
as
get it
president,
done.
Bernie Sanders, who was
Told
the
you, if it don't
second
change, you
candidate
ain't
in
gotta
the
worry
Democratic
about
race
seeing
last time.
no
Not
doggone
totally
stuff.
surprising. But also the fact that Joe
I meant
Biden
what I
cleared
said.
away has an
I ain't playing
advantage
with
among
you.
the Democratic potential
Company
candidates
come
as
on,
far
there
as
you go.
who has the most
Grabbing us. I
experience,
told you, go
ready
get
for this
yourself
job,
whooped.
who's ready to take on Donald Trump. That's something that you can expect that if Joe Biden does get in the race, he's certainly going to emphasize his strength.
Playing with you is a joke.
Wonder why
I didn't even lock the door. You just locked it, both of them.
to you, it's an interesting that it feels so
Get the red one. It'll scrape up better.
diverse with women.
No, ain't no red straight here.
That it's a two white older men.
Tell me none of that. You ain't looking, Mr. Peabody.
Also is the priorities of the Iowa voters, which is again a more white base of people we're talking about here, and also just the question I think when people ask who do you support, what they hear is who do you think could best defeat Donald Trump? Who do you think is a candidate who is most likely to win in November? Not necessarily who your favorite Democrat is in the primary, because I think, you know, as a new Democrat, I'll say the one thing that matters to me more than anything is who can actually defeat Donald Trump and end this insanity in November. The last thing we need to do is run ourselves through a purity test. You know, the reality is not everyone is going to be 100% of what we want. And that's got to be okay. We cannot afford to have an election process where we tear each other apart. Learn from what the Republicans did to themselves in 2016, where you had 15, 16 Republicans, senators, governors, the well-credentialed field of people, and they shredded themselves, and Donald Trump was able to emerge. We can't do that again.
Yeah, the New York Times had some reporting just yesterday that seemed to allude and suggest that the most popular candidate is the beat Trump candidate. Corinne, to you right now, Biden, of course, isn't even the race. He tops that poll, 27%. Does this tell us that Democratic voters are looking for a more moderate candidate?
No, what it tells me, it's going to be a very long 2 years is what it tells me. I mean, this same poll about 40 years ago, the person leading that poll in the Republican primary was Scott Walker. I mean, this is another poll of a snapshot of time.
Really? It won't get up? Hey, yeah, it don't get up?
Joe Biden is remembered fondly as being Obama's number 2 and being connected to Obama's successors. And also, you know, Bernie Sanders, as Ali mentioned, he ran just 3 years ago, and he has a lot of loyalty in the state of Iowa, and we saw that in 2016. So this is not surprising at all. We have to remember it's going to be a long road ahead. Things are going to change, and I do believe that Biden can wait a little bit because of that name ID. And there are donors out there who are waiting to see what he's going to do. And I'm sure he's just trying to think through it, think about his family, and I think he can, to to wait. But like I said, we have a long road ahead, and what this tells me is that Iowa's just one state, right? And Iowa is more than 90% white. We have New Hampshire, we have South Carolina, we have Nevada, all very, very different states where we'll see different people at the top.
Yeah, it seems like Super Tuesday next year will be quite a showing indeed. So you have the former Colorado governor and 2020 presidential hopeful John Hickenlooper, who launched his campaign. He was in the poll at 0%, and he found himself in some hot water after refusing to call himself a capitalist this week. Here's what he said, though, this morning.
I'm happy to say I'm a capitalist, but I think at a certain point the labels do nothing but divide us. Okay. And what I'm trying to build this campaign around is to say that as a country, we've got to stop finding every excuse to divide ourselves.
So, Kurt, what does all this back and forth tell us about how left the Democratic Party is moving right now? You know, I think we got to move away from the idea of labels, whether it's conservative or liberal or progressive or moderate or socialist, because here's the bottom line for me. If you believe that we need gun reform, if you accept science and climate change is happening, if you acknowledge that social injustice is a real crisis in this country, that shouldn't mean that makes you one of those labels. It should mean that you're an informed human being who has an adequate, sufficient idea of what's really happening on the planet right now. So I think that we can get into this nuance and demonic label trap, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really get us anywhere. It actually really feeds more to what Republicans are going to try to do, as they have now really honed in on the idea of pushing the idea that everyone is a socialist and every idea is socialism, despite the fact they have no historical idea what socialism clearly means. We really got to stop playing that game to ourselves and just acknowledge that some things are really happening in this country, and just because you subscribe to them and acknowledge it, that doesn't make you any particular label. And it does appear, though, at least from the Iowa Democrats, that they're moving a little left. Some other things that we took out of the poll, 84% of those polled for Medicare for all, 77% preferred candidates who propose legalizing marijuana. Let's come to you here, Josh. And one thing that I did note from the poll itself, and it was about Beto right there. His poll numbers went down from December to January, or to this new poll. So 6 points. What's behind the drop-off?
Well, it's a good question. We don't know exactly. There's a lot of uncertainty right now about Beto, what he's going to do. We saw him at South by Southwest, a documentary about him, his campaign teasing an upcoming announcement about whether or not he's going to run for president. But he's somebody that people don't know a lot about. They know him a little bit from the race in Texas that he did very well in, but ultimately lost. And a lot of questions about whether he is really ready for prime time as far as an actual presidential campaign.
Yeah, but it does say that the announcement is coming soon. Kareem, today's Des Moines Register poll, and it reads right now. Right now, the contest in Iowa could be characterized as a two-person race. The next closest challenger, Elizabeth Warren, trails Sanders by 16 percentage points. Will this poll actually motivate or kind of weed out this very crowded Democratic field?
You know, I'm not quite sure yet. We hear so many rumors about other people thinking about running in this into this primary. Look, we have the right now the biggest and most diverse primary that we've seen in a long time. At least the first time with the diversity, and not in decades have we had such a primary so large. I think we just have to wait and see. With Beto, look, I think the reason why his poll numbers are going down is because we've had so many people jumping in and going around the different early states and talking about their vision and what they're going to be doing next. So people are looking around at who's in the race, and you know, this is a big decision. I understand why he's waiting, but he can't wait too much longer. And I think an announcement is probably coming forthwith with him very, very soon.
Yeah, he promised very soon. Iowa caucuses in 330 days. Pretty soon. All right, Kareem, Kurt, our thanks to you, Josh. He's going to stick around. We'll see you a little bit later. Now to another thing. Another likely showdown between President Trump and House Democrats. The president will propose major spending cuts and request additional wall funding as part of
boot up my computer
tomorrow. It is already stoking fears of another government shutdown. Dare I say, NBC's Mike Rivera is at the White House. Mike, what are you expecting to see in this proposal tomorrow?
Well, good afternoon to you, Candace. You know, it's almost become a cliche to say that when a president sends a budget up to Capitol Hill that it's dead on arrival. It's DOA. Well, this one doesn't even have a pulse. You know, the president proposes, Congress disposes. Congress is going to dispose this immediately, especially on the House side, right into the wastebasket. This is purely a political document, and yes, it does give us some indication of the priorities and the philosophy of the president. It's not likely to go anywhere. Let me tell you some of the things that are in it and give you some reason why that is. The Democrats won't go along with it. A 5% across-the-board cut in spending, everything except defense and military spending, of course. Big spending cuts for anti-poverty programs, strict new work requirements for so-called able-bodied Americans, large increases in defense spending already at $750 billion. $100 million, this is sure to irritate some people, for an initiative from Ivanka Trump, a woman's fund to give to the U.S. Agency for International Development to try to help women around the world in their business endeavors. USAID is an agency that the president has tried to cut before in his budget, so that's likely to go over like a lead balloon. But perhaps the biggest sticking point, $8.6 billion. Stop me if you've heard this one before. The president will propose for building the wall on the border with Mexico. Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi have already seen fit to put out a statement this afternoon shooting that down. They've raised the specter of another shutdown. They say if the president wants to push ahead with that, the same thing will repeat itself if he tries this again. So again, a political document. It's required by law that the president has to send it up each late winter, early spring, but it will be a jumping off point for spending priorities over the course of the next 9 months.
And we can't say enough that this is the wall that Mexico was supposed to pay for.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. So you think this could result in another shutdown? And mind you, we should say that this is something that will come to play in October, possibly.
Right, so the end of the fiscal year is the end of the month of September. What typically happens is they kick the can down the road with temporary spending bills, temporary patches. Will it result in another shutdown? It could. I mean, that seems to be the predicate every year.
Will you put up my computer?
There's this game of chicken that goes on. I will tell you this, one thing that's going to be different, Republicans are not going to want to have anything to do, Hill Republicans, with a shutdown. They felt like they came out on the short end of the last one politically. They're going to be heading into a crucial election year. Obviously, we've been talking about that for the last 10 minutes of 2020. So I think it's very unlikely that we will have a shutdown. But again, it depends on what the president is willing to sign and what the Congress is willing to send it. Candace?
All right, the honorable indeed. Mike Vaccaro there at the White House. Our thanks to you. All the president's men have a date at the courthouse this week. Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, Michael Flynn, and Rick Gates. So ahead, what's next?
Well, this in Green Bay.
Investigation.
What? George Lincoln. See, Green Bay. I found my exact
How do you determine
car.
the value of a business in the transportation industry without knowing firsthand the unique challenges in that sector? Coming out here, seeing the infrastructure firsthand, talking with the people behind the numbers, is a different picture. Once I know what a business is truly worth, we can make better informed investment decisions. That's why I go people numbers.
Oh. Woo, glory be to God. What you doing now, woman?
I'm saving my car. I found it. It's coming from, this is it here. This is the car.
Where's it coming from?
It's coming from, let me go back and show you.
Green Bay.
Huh?
Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Green Bay? Oh, that's about hour 90 minute drive. Yeah, it ain't long.
Yeah, this is the one.
About 45 miles, 45, 50 miles. Yeah, it could be about 60 miles.
Yeah, I smoke Ebony.
Yeah, that's a pretty car though. That glare, I really like that glare.
57. That's what we got.
You know what that car remind me of? Remember that lipstick black people wear, like goldish type of lipstick? That's what that car remind me of. Hey, give me a
right here, this is the one.
napkin so I can blow my nose.
57. It said,
Yeah, I'm gonna sit back and watch that picture that y'all went to see. Yeah, see what it's about.
See, this how you know. See, this is it. Ice vocal with Ebony. This is a 5-passenger. That's how I know this was mine. Right here's the price. $58,635. See, $58,635. And I looked at it. This how I know it was mine because of this number right here. KBL 28458. KBL 28458. That's how I know that's ours. This is ours here. Yep.
So it comes from Green Bay. Well, thank the Lord.
Smells that magnificentness.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it did. I saved it already here.
Yeah.
See?
Killing all 157 people on board.
Ooh,
Amongst the dead are
that was a foreign jet. What them doing?
30 different countries were on board. The spokesman for the UN Secretary General just releasing a statement expressing his heartfelt
Ain't Americans on there. I'm gonna never roll on anything foreign. I don't want to ride on it because they don't check their stuff.
Was also on board at that crash site. It's a darkened earth in a crater surrounded by plane debris and personal belongings. We've seen emergency crews removing bodies from the scene. Authorities have put up tape and are beginning their investigation. Candace?
All right, well, Ethiopian Airlines, Africa's most popular airline there, and this is
you can't investigate after the plane blew up.
Yeah, they can get that black box.
As we continue to follow this story right now, aviation expert, pilot, and attorney Michael Panvia, president and CEO of Avia Networks, joins me now from Washington.
It was 8 Americans.
Yeah, 157 people though.
The Boeing 737 MAX 8 that was involved in another deadly crash just 5 months ago. It's under similar circumstances.
They ain't checking them just before they leave. They thinking they.
Well, that's what this is certainly alarming because it is the same model airplane and it is a complete departure from the old 737s, which have had an excellent history. And so
they ain't checking. They got poor mechanics. That's what's going on.
As reported by the pilot.
Yeah, this don't have a lot. That's why they didn't choose
so this is a very
This actually is a reserve, but it don't got everything I want right here. With the option, they ain't got nothing much at all. They don't even got the Lincoln pack. You got the driver system, but that's why I didn't choose this one. This one right here, King and Silver and Ebony in the inside. But look at, you ain't getting much of nothing.
No.
It's just, it's a reserve, but it's not a lot.
Is yours a black label?
This ain't no black label.
I said, is yours a black label?
You might as well say it is with everything that's coming with it. Yeah, that's why they didn't choose this one. He said what I wanted is not out there, but it's some out there, but who wants them? That ain't what. This one is 55, 112. They both the same. You know?
Back here at home
but it don't have the ebony inside.
Some people may want it because they may not
See,
want
this is ebony too inside.
Some people may not
What's the sticker price?
Mama, some people may not want everything.
See, it ain't got everything there. It don't got the link in the sticker.
Mama, you're just one of a few people who want everything.
Right.
Some people don't want everything.
Right. Some people don't want everything because they don't want to pay all that money. And that's the reason why. I understand.
But I think we still save pretty good in what we're paying for.
Yeah.
A lot of innovations.
Ethiopian jet.
Yep, Ethiopian.
That's something
That's a
we're going to need
country.
to look at.
What do you make of that information we're getting from
They
the
put olives on
They got poor mechanics. That's what's going on. They ain't. It wasn't the jet. They didn't check the darn thing. They didn't check it good enough.
They sure do got poor mechanics.
They got poor mechanics because these jets is built by Americans. And American already got a maintenance guy that is supposed to be checked every landing. They supposed to go over that jet. They supposed to know exactly what they checking for. Because those parts they get loose. Understand what I'm saying?
Right. It's got everything too.
You know, they're going to retrieve that.
Oh, okay.
That's just pretty. Give him my remote control, young man.
Experts that we sent over.
We have 4 national transportation safety board experts going over there.
We gotta go to that place and get to the tiny bit. That's good.
It's got the pita factories in the mall. Yeah. Food court.
Okay.
Michael Pantier, thanks to you. We're going to continue to keep an eye on this breaking news story here.
That tastes way better than when we went that other place.
How about that? You go play with that.
Strike 2. How many chances will Roger Stone get to violate his gag order? He's back in court tomorrow.
But
See, they got between the luxury trim in this one. But also it's $62,180.
You were telling the truth about a lie. No. Yes. Yes. This is not about being a Republican.
So, when you wanna go into the store?
Yeah, I'm ready. We can just. You wanna eat your lunch? I ain't had mine yet.
So your skin
Who?
is breaking out.
Me?
No, you're going to eat your lunch.
Need
Get him more control, boo-boo.
Your answer?
Let's see what that's on.
Proactive MD. Proactive's the #1 acne brand in America because of results like this. And now, with Proactive MD, things have gotten even better. The results even bigger. Why? Because Proactive MD is the one and only system with this, an advanced acne-clearing retinoid that used to be prescription only, until now.
My skin is glowing. Proactive MD works really well.
This is me before, and this is me after. That's a huge difference. Want to get your hands on Proactive MD?
I didn't kill against Island in a long time. Looks like they got a marathon on today.
What?
A Gilligan's Island.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I gotta do something else. 60 got.
They put everything on here. Olives, all kinds of stuff. I just squeezed the inside of an olive oil.
Your mother never feeds you.
Your mother's very concerned about her. She's disappeared. Susan, what's going on here?
I don't know, Steve. What else did you and Mother talk about?
Come here. Your mother did ask whether my intentions are honorable.
Are they, Steve?
What do you think?
Yeah, old Boris Collar, anytime he painted in a monster picture.
Who?
No, Boris Collar. Collars. Yeah, he always playing monster, scary picture.
You shouldn't have invited Reinhardt here. You're a difficult woman, Letitia.
No, not difficult. Only afraid.
Oh, so that's it. The sins of the fathers, huh? Well, let me warn you. Nothing is going to deter me from my purpose.
Yes, that's what Corbyn said.
But he's dead, Letitia. Has been dead for a long time. If there was evil, it's buried with him. All the remains of Corbin is a few harmless objects in the cellar.
No, you know how the light pains me. No.
Why do you persist in this delusion?
Please, Nan, close the curtains. Please.
I wonder if you realized how like Corbin you've become.
There's no similarity whatsoever. I've uttered no incantations. Neither have I cried out to any of the other so-called creatures of evil.
It's only your methods that differ.
And you know why? Because I don't believe in it, any of it. I never have believed in it. It is you who would perpetuate these blasphemies, these absurdities.
None. I saw your father change from an upright, God-fearing man into an old man possessed of the devil.
Whatever happened to my father will not happen to me.
It's already happening.
I could rather see it happening to you, Letitia, not to me.
It's happening to all of us. There's evidence of it all around us.
There's nothing to do with Corbin Whitley.
Corbin was invoking the dark powers when he died. Now his call is being answered.
So that is why you sent for Stephen Reinhardt.
I sent for him to take Susan away from here.
What have you told him?
Nothing.
You sure?
I don't need to tell him anything. He can see for himself.
I don't want him here. He must leave. One way or another, he must leave.
He's a guest here, None.
I will not have him interfering.
Would you prefer that I went into the town and showed myself? The once beautiful Letitia Whitley.
Very well. A day, perhaps. A day, but no more. Then he must leave.
Well, perhaps by then you
Put some real hot stuff up on here.
True.
I don't know if it's onions or something, but it's
The
hot.
truth is that I see
Y'all went to the show at
and all that I
Mayfair.
planned for
Huh?
fill it with a
y'all went to
wickedness
Mayfair.
we have never known.
Yes.
Mayfair.
What you see.
Yeah, that's on Highwood. Just over there,
All
that
I
mall
can
section
say is
where
Cake
cake
company.
yeah, cake company. Yeah. Honey, what you want for lunch? Or you ate?
Yeah, so ate the other part of my son.
Oh yeah, I got mine in here.
That's one up, not down.
Ah!
That one left.
Yeah.
2 blasters, you're a mad scientist. 3 blasters, you're qualified to explore the outer limits. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Question 1. Which actor from Flash Gordon got cast after appearing on a game show? Sam Jones, Timothy Dalton, or Max von Sydow?
Max von Sydow.
The answer is Sam Jones. The producer's mother-in-law saw him on an episode of the dating game.
Precisely.
You know, when I was on the dating game, all I got was a night out with a microwave. Although, that microwave was pretty hot.
This place is a lunatic asylum.
Question 2. During the karaoke scene in Code 46, who is singing the Clash song? David Bowie, Tom York, or Mick Jones?
David Bowie.
The answer is Mick Jones of the Clash.
Darling, you've got to let me know.
Singing his own song, Should I Stay or Should I Go?
That's beautiful.
Question 3. Which famous actress makes a cameo in Delirious? Diane Keaton, Margot Kidder, or Terry Garr?
Margot Kidder.
The answer is Margot Kidder.
All right, this is my only question I got right.
So while Marion Hemingway's character gets cleaned up. Yeah, that's certainly one way to get dry. No ifs, ands, or buts. Great line. If you nailed all 3 questions, that's using your head. 2 means try not to flip out. And if you only got 1 question correct,
You can't even do that right, can you, son?
Famous last words.
yep, or you can study up by watching these stellar flicks this month on Comet.
There's a lot of love in this room.
I'll be back next time with some more trivia. Space out!
Friday on Comet. When you're a soap opera writer and hit your head, you might freak out when you wake up as a character on your own show.
I'm in hell.
But you shouldn't, because here, your typewriter
obeys every word you write. Just don't make any typos.
The bartender needs more cold deer.
Not deer, beer.
Delirious. Friday at 10, 9 Central on Comet.
Well, why you don't close my cereal back? And just fold the bag down so it can stay fresh.
Too bad, Jimmy. Good evening.
Have you by any chance Anna Karenina Bateau store?
I think I have. Yes. Here it is.
How much is it?
20 zloty.
Much too expensive, I'm sorry. Bye.
Goodbye. You take this again. And how much? 8 zloty 75. Bye. Goodbye, gentlemen. Come again.
I don't want to talk to you.
You in the bathroom, boy? Huh, put this in there. On the shelf behind you. Yeah, really. I thought you was on toilet. No, I don't know what you do, Pen.
Nonsense.
Pen.
Perhaps the name of Whitley no longer commands the affection you shed once did.
I was Pen.
Is that why no one in the village would drive me out here?
You mean you had to walk all that way?
The villagers have no use for us, Mr. Reinhardt, I may add. The feeling is mutual.
And I love you too, and I love you too, and I love you too, and I love you too. And I love you too.
I placed a tray before her servant. She didn't seem to want it.
I'll take her up something until later.
That was funny because I was here just one.
What was that?
She was like, yeah, it's juice. That's funny. She was too different.
Noticed the strange black and dairy on the way to the house.
part. There was a fire, Steve.
A fire?
Why do you say it like that?
Did you see it?
No. Father did. Why are you so curious?
Well, everything is dead in the area. Nothing seems to grow there. I touched a branch and it fell to ashes.
My daughter has already told you there was a fire.
But Mr. Woodley, no fire leaves a place like that.
Father's never allowed me to go on the heath.
Why not?
I don't know. But after the fire, some of the villagers disappeared there. No one's ever been able to explain what happened.
I think, Susan, you're inclined to exaggerate. I would suggest possibly that you both.
Mom! What's the matter with him?
It's all right. This has happened before.
But he's unconscious.
Perfectly all right. I'll take care of it. I know exactly what to do.
Susan.
Come on, Steve.
$27.
Father? I brought your dinner. It's your favorite.
Take it away.
You must eat.
Quiet, child.
Yep.
What is it?
Shh. Quiet. Yes. Yes.